Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 260. Hope you're ready to get your fixie of Iron on this week as I record this one solo. Not like solo Sokoa by myself, because Aaron is not in the building. And we actually recorded a couple episodes yesterday, and you will be shocked to hear this if you're a long-time listener. But something happened with my audio. Yeah, true story. Went to edit the show this morning, and I got nothing. So I'm recording this one on the fly. We are going to answer some of your questions from social media. And, of course, Patreon subscribers get first dibs, patreon.com/irononwrestling, where you can get a buttload of bonus content, bonus episodes, early episodes, extended edition of episodes. We have over 1,000 posts in the archive. Oh, Jesus Christ, I got a little bit of indigestion there. 1,000 posts in the archive. $3 gets you audio, $5 gets you video, $9 gets you involved in a StreamYard/Zoom chat type situation, which I think I'm going to attempt to do this weekend, probably Saturday. So guys on the Patreon, $9 and up, if you're interested in that, send me a message, let me know that you're available, and we will set that up for Saturday afternoon-ish. It's the best way to support the show, and because we are dropping this episode right here on the regular feed. Obviously, you're listening to it early on Patreon. Thank you for that. But, if you're listening to it for free on iTunes, Spotify, Audible, wherever you download podcasts, thank you for that. But if you want our bonus episode, which we will be putting up this week, it will be about the Mr. McMahon docuseries. Me and Aaron are going to binge watch it Wednesday, and I'd like to have something up no later than Thursday as we discuss in depth all about this potentially controversial docu-series that's dropping on Netflix. And it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out for Vince. I don't think it's going to look good for him. Today on the show, before I talk a little bit more about the Vince thing, just to get us a start here, we will be answering your questions, but also I went to social media to ask you guys that if Netflix brought back the guest host situation, who would be the guest host on Netflix? How would that work? What would that look like in 2025? Some of you were not very excited about that theory, but, who knows? Stranger things, pun intended, have happened in the WWE. So, potentially this could be something that Netflix and WWE want to do at some point. I'm sure Triple H could do it much better than Vince did. But as far as the Vince stuff goes, some interesting reports coming out as I record this on Tuesday, September 24th. I'm going to go to a screenshot here of the statement that Vince made about the docuseries. Vince said, "I don't regret participating in this Netflix documentary. The producers had an opportunity to tell an objective story about my life in the incredible business I built. which were equally filled with excitement, drama, fun, and a fair amount of controversy and life lessons. Unfortunately, based on early partial cuts I've seen, this does not fall short. Does not fall short and takes the predictable path of conflating the Mr. McMahon character with my true self, Vince. The title and promos alone make that evident. A lot have been misrepresentative or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. The producers used typical editing tricks with out-of-context footage and dated sound bites, etc. to distort the viewer's perception and support a deceptive narrative. In an attempt to further their misleading account, the producers used a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. I hope the viewer will keep an open mind and remember that there are two sides to every story. So that got released yesterday on Monday as I record this. And today, there are reports coming out that apparently Vince McMahon tried to buy out Netflix in an effort to stop the docuseries from coming out. So, what does that say about Vince and whether or not he's guilty? Interesting stuff. As we get closer to this docuseries dropping, we have heard things from Mick Foley recently and Rikishi basically thanking Vince McMahon and being appreciative for all that he's ever done for them. And Mick basically saying that, there are two sides to every story and, you're innocent until proven guilty. And listen, obviously, that was from memory. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I can understand to a certain extent being appreciative to someone for opportunities that were presented to you. Perhaps if not for Vince McMahon and the WWE, Mick Foley and Rikishi may not live the life that they live. They may not have the financial success that they have. In the case of Rikishi, he has multiple sons working in WWE right now. I don't know if he's still there, but I know for a time, Mick's kid Dewey was working on the writing staff at WWE. So, I guess their families, respectively, do owe some debt of gratitude to Vince McMahon. However, sometimes when we're trying to be thankful, we sometimes lose sight on the hard work that we ourselves put in to that job. Yes, you are given that opportunity, but if you don't take that opportunity and run with it and make the best out of it, perhaps you don't get to the heights for which you got to. Getting your character over, establishing an emotional connection with the audience. Those are things that are up to you, and not you alone, but you play a big role in that, right? But also, I'm pretty sure one of the quotes from Mick, actually, let me pull it up real quick so I'm not misrepresenting anything. This is taken from a Q&A session at the Northern Ireland Comic-Con. It says, I genuinely liked him. My relationship was never the same with him after I left WWE and went to TNA for 3 years. But to this day, I'm still trying to find an address to write to him, just to thank him, for taking a chance on me. I think all of us are a combination of good traits and bad traits, and you hope your good traits outweigh your bad traits. It seems perhaps that Vince got it backwards there for a little while. But I've been there when he's done good things. I've seen him do good things. And of course it says Foley remains on the side of innocent until proven guilty. Is there any more to that quote here? No. But backwards for a little while. I don't know, man. Some of these allegations, and that's just what they are right now, is still allegations, but are pretty alarming. And to say that perhaps, and I like Mick. I've worked with Mick a little bit. I've been on shows with Mick. I've had conversations with Mick. Very good dude. Genuine person. And I'd like to think that the Mick Foley that, I've interacted with, and I'm sure, millions of fans have interacted with, the Mick Foley that we've gotten on television is not too not too far off from the actual person, and I think he likes to see the best in people. Everybody does have a good side, and people do sometimes have a bad side. But sometimes there are bad parts of people that we never get to see. Do you know why? Because they're so bad that they're hidden deep, deep away, deep in some sort of closet. That's why they become skeletons, because they sit in there for so long, they start to erode and decay. Because, you know, we don't want people to see them. And if these skeletons in Vince's closet look anything like the accusations that Janelle Grant are putting out there about him, I don't know if you can defend that. Yeah, it's possible that Vince did a lot of good things. I've read a lot of stories about good things that Vince has done. But I feel like, this isn't murder, right? But this statement from Mick can almost be looked at on par with Hulk Hogan's statement that people have forgiven Chris Benoit. You can appreciate the art and the wrestling ability of Chris Benoit, but would you go on a podcast and defend the murders of Nancy and Daniel? I don't think you would. And so, again, we don't know for sure that Vince has done these things, but like it's been a rarity to have people that have been asked about this Vince situation that have worked directly with Vince to go on record and say, if Vince has done these things, then they're despicable and they're inexcusable, because I think, I don't know, he was in power for so long that perhaps maybe there's still an inkling of fear that if Vince got back in power somehow, which I think that's next to impossible, that he would not forgive or forget statements made by these individuals. I myself have dealt with very personal situations within the professional wrestling business that have made me a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, I've been in some very uncomfortable situations with some individuals that have been very close to me. Some individuals that I know that may or may not have committed actions that are inexcusable. And to go on record and come out there and defend those actions from that person would make me look like an asshole. So you just can't do that. You know, I think a good example that I can talk about is, you know, the Joey Ryan situation. You know, whether or not Joey was found guilty of any of those things, there were a lot of accusations, and there were a lot of rumblings behind the scenes from people that knew Joey pretty well and had worked with Joey. And a lot of those people, you know, the independent wrestling industry and the wrestling industry as a whole is a pretty, it's a smaller community than you would think, right? But there are still some people that don't talk with each other. And I know for a fact that, speaking for myself, I heard people one side of the country and people on the other side of the country that, to the best of my knowledge, never really interacted with each other. In fact, I know they didn't, because one of these individuals was only dating a wrestler. And wasn't super into the inside of the business. Stories were very similar. And I doubt that, again, these individuals on two different sides of the country were directly interacting with each other. And so whether or not Joey was found guilty of these things, to go on the internet and defend his actions or his supposed actions, it's a little bit absurd. Now, I don't know, man. I think this Vince documentary is going to be very interesting and polarizing, much like the man himself. And so I'm looking forward to covering that exclusively on Patreon with Aaron this week. So stay on the lookout for that. Before we start answering your questions and head to a commercial break to pay some bills, I want to send a shout out to Patreon subscriber, longtime fan, and friend, Dean Chard, who just celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday, my friend. Thank you for being a longtime supporter of not only the show, but myself and Aaron, and I can't believe now that I've known you for, has it been 15 years almost? That's wild, dude. Shout out to you, man, and hope your birthday day, that's redundant. Your birthday, your birth week, your birth month is a very enjoyable one. And, yeah, man, shout out to you. But we got to pay some bills when we come back. We're going to take your questions from social media. As I said, Patreon members will be prioritized. And then we will talk about potential Netflix guest hosts on Raw, if that were to be a thing. Stick around. I'm thinking of a scenario that involves a cloud. And perhaps maybe you and me on a cloud in heaven. Perhaps maybe holding hands. You choose which hand you'd like to hold. I promise, cerebral palsy is not contagious. So if you'd like to hold my right hand, you can. And maybe while we're holding hands, we're both holding a microphone and doing a podcast. This, of course, would be after we tragically passed away because we're in a cloud in heaven. So, I mean, how the hell else did we get there? Juan Ortiz, could you bring this to life? I think you could, because Of the Dead Designs has brought so many artistic masterpieces to life over the years for some of the most prominent and prolific professional wrestlers in the industry. His art has been seen on t-shirts, on action figures, on Titantrons. This dude has been in a Hot Topic, okay? And I know you've been in a Hot Topic, especially if you backyard wrestled at any point in your life. You definitely bought some gear from a Hot Topic, but you could also buy a shirt from Juan Ortiz. So knowing that he's done so much within the industry as an artiste, why not get some art for yourself from Juan? Or maybe not just for yourself, for a friend, a family member, any type of loved one, perhaps a logo for your big or small business. Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs can do it all. He's been doing it for 20 years, and he does it at an affordable rate. And now you can save even more money if you'd like to get something designed by Juan. Because if you mention Iron on Wrestling to Juan Ortiz and or Of the Dead Designs, he's going to knock off $20 on your first design. That's right, $20. You can buy 4 sniffs of a mustache from an alpaca for that price. I mean, we're saving you money here at Iron on Wrestling. So, do yourself a favor. Find Of the Dead Designs on Instagram. And it's not hard. All you got to type in is @Of the Dead Designs. Go to his Facebook, facebook.com/ofthedeaddesigns, or his website, ofthedead.weebly.com, because Of the Dead Designs is bringing artwork to life. Speaking of life, in your life currently, are you on a health and wellness journey? Do you want to start your health and wellness journey? Well, whether you're just beginning or you've been on the path for a while, TNT Health can keep you on the straight and narrow. TNT-health.com has a number of supplements that you can buy that can get you going in the right direction. Me personally, I've been using TNT Health for, about a year now, I'd say. And I've really enjoyed using just some basic items for my health and wellness. Their creatine for my pre-workout, which has definitely helped me with my gains. I've been lifting more. I've been lifting weight that I used to I can't even talk. I've been lifting the amount of weight that I used to do when I was in my early 20s. There became a point in my lifting phase where I didn't want to lift as heavy anymore. But using the creatine from TNT Health, I have no choice. I gotta lift heavy, brother. Okay? So I can lift those barbell plates and eat those chocolate cakes. TNT Health's doing that for me. I also use their glutamine for my post-workout, so that way it helps with my muscle soreness. I mean, when your muscles are sore from lifting, that's fine. You could tell you're growing. But if we can keep that on the downward spiral a little bit, if we can prevent a little bit of that muscle fatigue, we want to do that, right? So I really enjoy those things. I also enjoy their vanilla organic protein, which is the only stuff that I've ever used that I can mix in water without an issue. it tastes delicious that way, and it saves me on the calories. I know Aaron, who obviously is not here right now, he's also been using a number of items from TNT Health that in the past couple years has really helped him decrease his weight. And, he's in a much better place than he was just 2 years ago. And he's got Mike and TNT Health to thank for that. And so whether you're looking for fat burners, muscle building supplements, pre-workouts, pro hormones, anything like that, TNT Health's got you covered. And Mike is going to be with you every step of the way. He's going to help you track your macros. He wants to know what your goals are. And he just wants to get you on a couple supplements, okay? Just a couple supplements to ease you into some of his programs over on TNT Health. He doesn't want you spending $300 or $400 on diet pills and all that stuff like someone like a GNC or a Vitamin Shop might do a month. He just wants you to get started with what you need. And if you like those, you can kind of branch out from there. So do yourself a favor. Check out TNT-health.com right now. It's free to do so. But if you buy anything, you can also save a little bit of cash. 10% off with promo code IRONON, IRONON. That's IRONON, IRONON. Save 10% on anything and everything that you buy. So, TNT Health, check it out. Because at TNT Health, it's about your health today, not tomorrow. And we are back, and joining me for a few minutes here as we talk about some of your questions from social media, and perhaps maybe some potential Netflix guest hosts, if Raw decides to do that. Zach Thomas, a member of 440, and my brother. Hello, Zach.
What's up?
Good to see you.
You see me every day you wake up.
That is true. I mean, we do sleep and cuddle together in bed,
That
so
is not
every
true.
morning when I wake up,
Okay,
before I go to work, I kiss you on the forehead and I say, "Good morning, Zachary. It's great to see you
well,
again."
that's not true at all because nine
What?
times out of 10 I'm up before you.
Oh,
So
well, what's the haps, as the kids say?
what do you mean?
What's happening?
Oh, that's what kids say now?
They do. That's what I hear.
The sky is dim today. The world's ending. The rain has hit everywhere. Everybody's freaking out.
What?
Literally just been seeing a lot of dumb like social media thing like, "Oh, we finally got rain. Oh my god, it's great again." It's weird. People just keep fucking acting like it's the end of the world
I don't know.
over some rain.
They probably forgot how to drive.
Well,
usually
that is
happens.
very true. They
Yeah.
always do that.
You remember like a couple weeks ago where like we went to go toy hunting and you almost got hit by like 2 cars on the same day?
Yeah, I think you're just bad luck in my car because it's every time you're in my car.
That could be the case. I have a bad history with cars.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Like, one's a red light. Hey, let's just run it.
Yeah. Literally a guy in like a giant van just like kept driving right through the red light.
As I'm turning left.
Did he make a face at you too, like it was your fault?
He started honking at me like it
Yeah.
was my problem. Dude, you just ran a red light.
So the reason why I brought you in here, I wanted to have a discussion. Recently, and if you guys have been listening to the show, you know that I've been becoming an expert on Facebook Marketplace. Okay, I like to mostly wrestling items.
Hoarder.
Buy and sell. What was that?
Hoarder?
I'm not a hoarder. I like to buy and sell wrestling items on there. I am somewhat of an expert in their value, the value of some of these items, and so nice little side hustle. I think social media mogul Gary V would definitely give me some props for that. Okay, he's a big proponent of doing things like that, but also on occasion.
Yeah, that dude goes to freaking yard sales and finds the craziest stuff. He'll pay $10 or whatever they're legitimately asking for. Give him a few more because he knows exactly what he's grabbing.
Yeah,
It's wild.
but yeah, so occasionally I do like to buy something that is for myself. I did recently sell my old Atari in the box for well, it was a whole thing. I was just going to sell it for $100, and then a bunch of people started reaching out to me like real quickly, and then some dude messaged me and was like, "That's worth way more than $100 because it's in a box."
I know we wouldn't have got that, but I'm still surprised the exchange didn't take it.
Oh yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
So I don't know if the exchange is like a thing in other states, but there's this place used to be called Record Exchange, but now it's just the exchange where you can like trade stuff. So a couple weeks ago, me and Zach took some items, some old items of ours, some of our dad's stuff that we haven't been able to get rid of, and we're just trading it at the exchange, for one of those cash or credit type situations. And I tried to give them this Atari, and they were like not interested. But I was just trying to get $100 out of it. My ex-girlfriend got it for me a while ago. It just sits in the basement. I don't want it. I don't play it. I can play all the Atari shit on my emulator if I want to, which I don't because Atari kind of sucks. I mean, if you grew up on that, then sure, maybe you're into it, but it was not my thing. Too basic. And long story short, too late. Some dude reached out to me and was like, well, that's worth way more than $100. And I tried to sell it for $500. And then everyone was like, no, not interested. So I was like, you know what? I just want the $100 because I don't want this in my basement. So some dude bought it for $100. But I recently, as we continued to decorate this house, saw an amazing photo. A nice little photo that I wanted to get from the kitchen. I see this photo of a stuffed bear in sunglasses eating a cheeseburger at the beach, okay? This is a one-of-one photo. There is no other photo like it in the world. It looks like it was taken in the 80s, perhaps. Also, I don't mention this when I describe it, Zach. If you look closely at this photo, that bear is wearing a bikini top. So I don't know if it's a female bear or perhaps maybe it's an androgynous bear like Goldust. I don't know. We don't know for sure. But no matter what the situation is, it is a kitchen-centric photo. And I showed you this photo.
Why is it a kitchen-centric photo? Tell me that.
Because it's a bear eating a cheeseburger.
No. Just tell me the only reason, not the fact that it's a bear. We get it's a bear, but what's the reason? Because it has a cheeseburger.
That's what I just said. Yeah,
that's it. Only the cheeseburger, bro.
It's eating a cheeseburger, so that makes it a kitchen photo. And I figured, I showed it to you. You were not happy.
That's because, and I quote, you said that you thought it was smaller. Who in their right mind
hold on
for the
why look
dimensions?
I saw the photo and I'm thinking this has got to be like an 8x10 tops, nice little photo for the kitchen, $10. Okay, the frame itself would be worthy of $10, but a photo like this, which I will post on social media by the way, definitely worth the price. So I meet up with this girl, we get out of the car and I hand her the $10. She said, okay, let me grab the photo. And then to my shock, I audibly said, oh no. And I said, I didn't think it was going to be this large of a photo. It's probably about, I would say, 18 by 24 inches.
Dude, it's almost bigger than the microwave machine and the Ninja Turtle cardboard cutout.
It's something that you could definitely put above your fireplace, perhaps. But in this case, because it is a bear in sunglasses eating a cheeseburger at the beach, you could only put it in the kitchen. And you are adamantly against this.
Oh, it'll go in the kitchen. Don't worry. It just won't be visible. It'll be behind the door.
So we do have a door in our kitchen that constantly stays closed. However, once...
Constantly open.
Open, yes. It does stay constantly open. My bad. So the door it's often against the wall. So whatever would be on that wall will be hidden. But once it's up on the wall, I just want you to know that the door will be constantly closed.
False, because that'd be dumb.
It's not going to be dumb. People are going to come in and they're going to be like, oh my God, what is this incredible photo that I'm witnessing? Because just so you know, Internet, and I'll take poll with you guys too, out of the last 22 people that I've asked, I just said, listen, give me your first thought. Rank this photo on a scale of 1 to 10. And based on all of those ratings, 22 ratings, I put it in a app, okay, to give me the mathematics. Currently, I don't know why you have that look on your face right now. Currently, the bear is ranked at 7.6. And I feel like if it's anything greater than a 7, then the photo goes on the wall.
Here's the thing. He's asking the question of, what is your ranking of this photo from 1 to 10? He's not asking him the logical question, would you or would you not put this up in your kitchen?
You don't have to ask that question.
That is the question you should be
You
asking.
don't have to ask that question.
Because then that would decide whether or not I want to put it up in my kitchen.
No,
I don't.
What you feel in your heart when you see that photo and the number you rank it, that gives me the answer I need. If you love that photo so much that you're ranking it higher than a 7 on average, I think that means you hang it in your kitchen. And I want to point out. I want to point out, Atticus Cogar had the nerve, the gall, to suggest that I, quote, hang it in my fucking room.
Yeah, because you asked in the 440 group chat, how is this cool? And he said, yeah, if you were 10.
Okay, but like, I think what he meant to type, like, I think he said, yeah, and it's a 10. I think that's what he. I think that's what he meant to.
If you're 10 years
like,
old.
And I think in my mind I was like, wow, I didn't even ask him to rate this yet. He already said a 10. But see, it would make sense. It makes no sense to hang it in my room. It would make sense if it was a bear in PJs with a book in like a race car bed.
I don't know why the hell you're giving this bear that was randomly put into a photo a story. He doesn't need a story, bro. It's not a living being.
What? What do you mean he doesn't need it? Everybody has a story. The one thing that I've learned from this podcast is just because you see something or someone and you think something of them based on one particular situation, if you actually sit down to have a conversation with them or to look deeper into the meaning behind, in this case, what the photo is, then you realize that, you know what? I might not understand truly what was happening here, but now I took the time and I get it. And what you see before you
is a bear with fake stuffing, sunglasses, a top on, a freaking cheeseburger, fruit punch, or whatever the heck punch it is.
There is a fruit punch that's slightly buried in the sand. And it does appear that the sand might be from Myrtle Beach. I don't know that for sure, but that's what my brain is telling me.
Now you're just jumping to conclusions, bro. That's
I'm
wild.
just saying, it looks like
that's
it's
wild.
That looks like specifically.
Have you ever been to Myrtle Beach?
No, but I've seen photos. So I think that looks like Myrtle Beach sand.
Wow, you're a real sand.
I'm sand connoisseur.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man.
Yeah, I know. I
wow,
know.
Dude,
if there's
really
one thing I know,
sand.
I hate the Sandman, so I know my sand. I know good sand and I know bad sand. That's good sand. Sandman, bad sand. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that. That's a tongue twister, actually. Okay, so bottom line is, guys, I'm gonna need your feedback on this bear, and I'm thinking I don't know where this bear is, but I'm gonna find a bear that looks similar. And I'm going to create one-of-one photos for every season. Clearly, this is summer. But I need a winter bear, I need a spring bear, and I need a fall bear. Like, just think about it. Can you imagine, like...
why don't you just take a picture of that, put in an AI filter, and it can do that for you?
No.
There you go.
That's just cheap.
Also, I think both your fans and I would like to see a video of you attempting to hang this up, because it's not going to be me doing it.
No, see, that's just wrong. Because I have one functioning hand. I don't know if you know this about me. I have cerebral palsy.
Oh.
And to hang such a large and incredible photo could potentially be catastrophic. I could break this photo, and I just can't have that happen. Okay.
We'll see.
I'd like to also point out that at the same time, while I've been trying to get Zachary to hang this photo of the bear, I found an incredible photo of our cousin Matt with a stuffed dog that I wanted to hang on in our family hallway, and this man refuses to hang it up.
Well, here's what I'm going to say, and I quote, I don't care if you hear it, I doubt you're listening, mommets, but I know for a fact this man would not put, even though it is one of the better cousins, Matt, Mommet, on our freaking wall. There's no shot. It's a random freaking picture. Don't know where the dude got it.
What?
Probably went to a Goodwill and bought it.
What?
And it was the picture that was in the frame. And he's like, I'm going to put that up randomly in my home.
No, I would. Look, you think I would just buy a random photo of some person I don't know?
You literally bought a family picture of a full house for me to put up in our family pictures to confuse people and make them think that it's our family. So you want people to think that this random baby picture is one of our family members. Again, why do you have Matt's baby picture also? That's what I want to know.
I found it in the bottom of a box.
It would never be in our pictures. I'll let you know that.
Let me ask
Unless it was, the Tina and Taylor's.
Listen, okay, you're now just name dropping a bunch of cousins that no one knows.
It don't matter. It's family.
We don't have photos of them to hang up. We only have this photo of Matt. But I'm going to move on real quick before I let you go here. One of the things that we were talking about this week is when Raw goes to Netflix in January, the idea, what if Netflix wanted to bring back the guest host concept to Netflix? Off the top of your head, January 2025, this is a thing that they want. Is there anybody that comes to mind you think would be a good idea to be a guest host on Raw?
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Well, but see, at that point, it's gonna be too.
That's too obvious, but it's. I feel like it would get over.
Well, maybe if I guess if the movie's coming to Netflix and they want more people to watch it again,
yeah,
I guess it makes sense. But it'll be a little too late. Now, I could see Ryan Reynolds and The Rock for what is that movie, like Red Notice or something, or what the hell is that? Like they do those Red something movies.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think that is Red Notice.
Something like that. I feel like I could be wrong. I'm not looking it up though.
I'll look it up.
But so my first thought, and again, we're gonna go to people in social media for a second here. And I think someone on social media is on the same page here. Let me find the question. They said that they would probably. How could I forget who said this? Juan Ortiz said they'd probably have a bunch of YouTubers or Twitch streamers. Now, when they did,
if I could say one, Kai Cenat, that might be what dude they would put on.
Who's that?
A big influencer that streams, does 24-hour streams.
Okay.
He's got a big following. I feel like he's done a lot of commercials recently too.
Okay. So when they did the guest host thing 15 years ago, this was not a thing. So that makes sense that they would get YouTubers and Twitch streamers. So all right, you book that guy as the guest host. Yeah. So how do you utilize him on the show and try to not think like the old guest host format? Think of your Triple H, because I think Triple H would keep this to a minimum, but make the things that they do good.
I feel like it would have to be some sort of segment with New Day, specifically Austin Creed, because the dude is a gaming streamer.
Yeah.
So I feel like that, some sort of segment there with him. I don't know what they would do exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Who else is like a YouTuber, Twitch streamer, influencer that you think, because I know you watch a lot of that stuff. Who could you see being incorporated into Monday Night Raw and making it make sense on Netflix? Especially if they have something to promote.
Adam Ray.
Who's Adam Ray?
The dude that does the Dr. Phil.
Impersonates
Dr. Phil. He has a lot of Netflix specials. I mean, I don't know if they're specifically not looking for a PG standard.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be 100% PG, but I don't think people are going to get this R-rated Raw that they're dreaming about. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think we're
going
to get that. But also, I mean, if they're looking to the aspect of higher up.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a comedian, so I mean.
Donnie Joe Turner Jr. said probably Mr. Beast. I would have said Mr. Beast.
Probably be a thing.
Yeah, but I don't know, man, because I've been seeing some of the controversies with the people around Mr. Beast, that one
Chris.
Yeah, the individual that transitioned that apparently was grooming kids.
Yeah, because then that came out after he transitioned.
Yeah, so I don't know. There might be too much controversy around Mr. Beast. I don't know if they'd want to associate with that. Actually, have you been following this P. Diddy stuff?
Not in depth, but I just keep seeing clips on TikTok about it.
It's real bad, man. I don't know if WWE. Obviously, you don't know how to predict the future, but coincidentally, WWE has associated itself with a lot of individuals that have done some pretty dastardly supposedly sexual things. I mean, we got the Vince McMahon thing coming out. Jared from Subway was a former guest host of Monday Night Raw.
That is true.
P. Diddy, I forgot about this until I looked it up. I thought he just did a tribute to the troops, and then I thought he did like an introduction for someone at a WrestleMania, but he fucking rapped at WrestleMania 29. That's a real thing that happened. So it's like, Jesus, man. I've been following it a lot, and man, this dude's going down hard. What have you saw on TikTok? Have you seen any of the Justin Bieber stuff? I feel like you would have saw that.
The only thing I seen were like clips of someone putting capital letters like in bold, like on the video of them, like, oh, we feel bad for Justin Bieber when he was younger because like he would have weird instances with like certain TV hosts or, for instance, P. Diddy.
Yeah.
And like you could see it on camera that they were like visually weirded out by it.
I saw a compilation of those, like just people like asking him weird stuff when he was 15, like, or saying like you have beautiful eyes, like a guy being like you have beautiful eyes.
Yeah, on the talk show where he's like, your lips are nice.
Yeah, you smell
thanks.
good. I've never smelled a 16-year-old.
Legitimately, yeah. He's like, okay, yeah, I'm turning 17 next month.
Or like Jenna McCarthy, like kissing his neck on stage when he had just like turned 18 and stuff. Which again, like, listen, if I'm an 18-year-old Greg and Jenna McCarthy wants to nuzzle on my neck, I'm okay with it. But also, if that's an unwanted thing, then that's not cool.
And mainly seeing the stuff, like obviously I seen the video a while ago of Cat Williams on that dude's podcast talking about, he was basically saying that all this stuff was going to come to light. And it legitimately did. Yeah, P. Diddy started getting outed.
That's when it started coming out, right? Is when Cat Williams brought it up.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those things where it was kind of a not so hidden secret in the industry for a long time. But yeah, man, it seems like everything about the situation is like he's probably gonna get at minimum 25 years. So basically the rest of his life, because he's like 53 right now. So he's fucking donezo.
I was gonna say, what does that man need all that baby oil for?
Well, yeah, baby. Well, like, yeah, if it turns out that you end up having like 1,000 things of baby oil and lube and like I think 600 or 700 dildos, I can't think of many other reasons why you would require that many things. And like, listen, it gets more insane because like, dude, he like was having shipped in IV fluid because they were doing so many drugs and like having sex for days that they were like physically exhausted that he needed to like pump people full of IV fluid.
This is basically just what it was, man. They were on the check-in list and they showed up and they were like, oh, what's your name? Oh, got it. Here's your complimentary bottle of oil. Here you go.
Yeah, I don't think how that worked because it seemed like there was a lot of people in situations where they couldn't seem to get out of it.
I like how one of the Wayne brothers, though, specifically on that same dude's, I forget the dude that Cat Williams was on that he did that, but that same podcast, one of the Wayne brothers did it, and he was denying and claimed, he's like, oh, yeah, I was at a lot of Diddy parties, but I always left early type thing. And I'm like...
Maybe he did.
Always? Every time before the stuff happened?
Maybe he started to hear that there was some weird shit happening. He's like, yeah, because listen, I've been at some wrestling shows where some fucking, there's never been a freak off to my knowledge, but I've been at some wrestling shows where I know, this is a time where some dumb shit's going to start happening and I don't want to be around for it. You know what I mean? Like some people are smarter than that, but also, listen.
Then why go to all of them, though? He said he was at a lot of them. If you know something's going to happen,
dude,
why you go?
You're in this business. You know sometimes you got to show your face some places or whatever the fuck. Like everything to some extent is political, right? Whether it's your job or your fucking, if wrestling's your hobby / job, whatever it is, everything has some sort of political nature to it, right? And I mean, listen, I can't tell you how many times I had to go to a fucking shitty bar that I don't want to go to and interact with like someone just to be like, hey, I'm here. When I was younger, I'd have more of a shitty attitude about it. Like, I don't want to be at this fucking bar. As I get older, I realize this isn't my scene. but at least I have some of my friends here I could talk to. It's like, as you evolve with time, it's like, you know what, I'll go hang out with my friends for a little bit. But when dumb shit starts to happen, it's like, time for me to go. I don't want to be associated with this. Not my scene. Makes me uncomfortable. So bye-bye. So not interested in a freak off.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I think him and I just saw Usher deleted a bunch of all 7,000 of his tweets, so that doesn't seem sus at all. So I think if I had to guess someone who won't be guest hosting on Netflix, I'm gonna guess P. Diddler and Usher.
I see someone make like the old comic book cover of Batman and the Riddler, and it said, "Oh, Batman versus the Diddler."
Oh God, who do you think would win between the Diddler and the Rizzler?
Well, I feel like, see, people's assumption to the reason why he also had a lot of the oil is because that's what would stop them from the people escaping that he kept locked up in his house.
Who said that? Since when does baby oil stop people from escaping?
Put it on the floor. So if
Spray
you try
it on
to
the
run,
floor.
Yeah, legit. So that's how he would beat the Rizzler,
What?
brother.
Okay. Well, he probably shouldn't be having a small child invited to a freak off, anyways.
Hey,
but
you never know. That's probably why he's getting locked up.
Maybe P. Diddy would get temporary custody from Eric Justice and spend a couple days with him. What a fucking weirdo, man. Also, by the way, before we continue with this Netflix thing, I just want to point out that Johnny Gargano tricked me. Okay, last week we based the whole episode around me hating Eric Justice and the Rizzler and being upset that I didn't even tell you about this. Upset that he sent me a photo that Eric Justice, the dad of the Costco guys, was rated in the PWI 500 at like number. Let me give you the exact number here. He gave me a bio and everything, and I read it on the show. He was rated at number 236, okay? And I was like, how? This dude hasn't wrestled in like fucking 5 years. I wasn't even ranked this year, and I usually don't care about this shit. After I posted the episode, someone wrote me, I'm like, he wasn't really ranked in the PWI 500, right? And I sent him this person the page that Johnny sent me with the photo of Eric Justice and the bio, and he's like, yeah, man, that's not real. So I hate you, Johnny Gargano.
Dude, out of the world that you live in, knowing that you can edit and or AI anything, you didn't believe that could be an option?
He tricked me. So I don't appreciate that. Made me look like a goddamn fool. So with it being Netflix, first thing that I thought of, if they're going to get a guest host, and Nerd Rock Josh on the same page, he said it'll be Cobra Kai kids and like Mel Gibson or something. I could see Cobra Kai. Legitimately, the first thing I thought, because like remember when they would do the guest host and they would have like obviously Hugh Jackman is Hugh Jackman, right? But then they would have the Three Stooges, so it'd be like Will Sasso playing Curly, like he did in the movie or whatever. I thought, what if they book Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso to be their Cobra Kai characters? And my first thought was, how do you implement that in the show? Easiest thing. Backstage promo where like Otis and the Alpha Academy.
Yeah.
They're talking to someone, and they're basically like, we've just been needing guidance for a long time. We used to have this leader, and he was like, he was a lot like Kreese, he's like just a bad person, right? And they pan over, and it's Johnny Lawrence, and it's Daniel LaRusso. And so they do vignettes throughout the show where they're training Tozawa and Otis and Maxine, and then there's like a 6-man tag match later in the show, and Daniel and Johnny Lawrence are at ringside, and they implement like a crane kick somehow. I think that's how you make money, and you cross promote the last 5 episodes of Cobra Kai on Netflix next year. That's money.
So have they? I might be lost, but they announced that they're bringing hosts back.
No,
oh.
This is a what if.
Gotcha.
So Aaron had brought this up as an idea, and obviously we recorded a whole episode, and then I lost the audio. So,
Hell yeah.
so this is Aaron's idea. Shout out to Aaron, who's not on the show this week because I had to record this on my own time. So,
You know, wait, you said you still have his voice, though? Technically, but not yours? From when
yeah,
you filmed?
yeah, his voice still exists, but if you
should
can't hear it,
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, you should just put it out there, but...
no, he would just be talking to himself. So, over on the social media, Eric did suggest Eric Justice and the Rizzler, so fuck you.
You
Eric,
know that's what's they'll end up doing. Guarantee you someone like that.
well, they already had him on AEW.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
It's terrible.
There you go.
Okay. A lot of people suggested I would be good as a guest host. Let me just say that that's a horrible idea. Can you imagine? Like, this would go down in WrestleCrap history. If, like, hey, remember that one time? Because, like, don't suck up to me, okay? I don't need yes men on my social media. I appreciate if you're just being nice, but, like, can you imagine? The night after Monday Night Raw with the guest host Gregory Iron, people are like, remember that time they booked that independent wrestler Gregory Iron that has a disability to be the guest host of Raw for like no reason? Like, why did that even happen? I didn't even know who that guy was until he was the guest host of Raw.
It was a Make-A-Wish.
Okay. That is disrespectful. James Power says Taylor Swift. Why not? I think to make that happen, you would need either a truck of money or you'd have to rehire Jeff Jarrett, because Jeff Jarrett, I don't know if you know this, Zach, his kids used to get babysat by Taylor Swift because she was like the next door neighbor. Did you know that?
No.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. So he's got that connection. Ronnie Archer said Jelly Roll and shit like that, man. I guess, man. But, like, you gotta get like cool people. And like the only person that I feel like has been like a as far as a musician since the Triple H eras began, that was a flop, was I gotta say Lil Wayne. Like, I was real pumped to see him perform at WrestleMania, and it might have been the worst musical performance of all time.
Yeah.
Not good. Jelly Roll did okay though, but he also had Austin Theory being the best post of all time and take that choke slam.
Nah, man, he threw him up that high.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Brian Long suggests the Haktua girl, Haley Welch. Okay. I don't think they're going to do that, because I think so. If this would have been the Vince McMahon era, no shock there. I think it would have been all about booking the Haktua girl. But how do you book the Haktua girl to guest host Raw without acknowledging why she's the Haktua girl?
You don't.
You have a picture with Haktua girl.
You have a picture with Hawk 2.
I'm not really in the picture, but you are.
Yeah, what about it?
I mean, you haven't even posted it or anything?
Because it wasn't actually a picture that I said, hey, let me take a picture with you.
Well, we were on the floor, and she took a picture for her social media. If you look in the background, Zach is just very intensely trying to watch the wrestling show, standing in the background. But technically, you're in a picture with Haktua girl.
It counts, but...
It does count. Would you let her, if she said, hey, can I spit on that thing? Would you let her do that?
Well, probably, but she's got a flat fucking ass.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Goddamn,
We're not body shaming anybody. People like what they like, though.
No, I'm just saying, though. I'm just pointing something out.
She's a skinny girl. And also,
good looking.
I want to
Flat
point
ass.
out. I want to point out. She's donated a lot of money to basically all the money that she's made. She's donated for helping animals.
That's awesome.
It's very nice.
Remember that time that she got brought on stage just to get booed?
I did see that clip. That's unfortunate. Jack Cinnamon says it's Netflix, so likely Stranger Things people. I could see that doing, like, why are you making that look? I could see that happening. Like booking Millie Bobby Brown and Finn Wolf, what's his name? Wolfhard or whatever, and guys like those guys, like
I don't know the names.
maybe Hopper, and they like do. I mean, come on. Again, it's harder to see in a Triple H era, but some sort of interaction with the Wyatt Six that isn't totally hokey. Vince would have definitely done that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it would have been hokey as could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see some Stranger Things stuff. Justin, I'm going to butcher this name. Cusino? He said, hopefully the cast of Perfect Match or Love is Blind. I've never watched those shows, but I know they're incredibly popular. So perhaps that's a thing that could happen.
Sylvester Stallone.
Man,
Because of the show. The new show. I forget what it's called.
The show that you like so much that you can't even remember the name of it.
You never draw a blank on nothing in your life. How about every time you forget stuff? You don't know where you put it. Yeah.
Brother, I don't shoot blanks, okay?
Well, you're shooting a blank right now.
All right. Yeah, you're talking about the show that isn't on Netflix, that's on Paramount, that he has.
Well, what does it matter?
Well, I'm just saying.
Still popular.
I guess they could cross promote for other channels, but also, I mean, getting Sly in general was great. But like, if you're gonna get Sylvester Stallone, you should have got him for WrestleMania when they're in Philly, to not be, because you can't call him Rocky, but like that would have been the ideal scenario. Have him like pump up Cody Rhodes or something. What would have been cooler than that?
That's true. That would have been sweet.
I booked the whole thing on the podcast, and they should have fucking done that.
I don't think they book based off your podcast, but
they should. Tom Polakowski says, never cared for the whole celebrity guest host concept. I didn't ask if you cared for it, Tom. I asked who would you book. So if you didn't care for it, why didn't you book something better than they booked 15 years ago, Tom? Casey Bernard says, probably Netflix stars get the synergy flow. Yeah, well, duh.
We get Bert Kreischer.
Who?
Bert Kreischer. He's
Who is
a funny
that?
comedian. He's got a lot of specials on Netflix.
What has he done? Just special on Netflix? He doesn't act in anything?
The only movie that I know he's in is his own one. It was called The Machine, based off a real story, I believe.
Who is Emily in Paris?
I don't know.
I'm going to Google Emily in Paris because that's another suggestion here. Emily in Paris. It's a comedy drama series. Cast consists of Lily Collins, Ashley Park, Lucas Bravo. I don't know any of these people. I guess.
Hall.
Who?
Michael Hall.
Who's Michael Hall?
Michael C. Hall, I believe is his name.
Michael C. Hall.
Dexter.
Oh, the Dexter guy?
Yeah.
Dexter wouldn't be bad. Is that show still on?
There's another.
They revived it. I know that.
They're reviving it to do something else. I believe another show.
Ryan Long suggested Mr. Bean. I don't like that suggestion. I don't understand British comedy, and I don't like Mr. Bean. And I know Ben Boone loves Mr. Bean. Well, you know what? Mr. Bean sucks. One time on a road trip, Ben Boone started bringing up Mr. Bean's Holiday, the movie, and I was like, who the fuck watches Mr. Bean's Holiday? And he got real mad. And I think at some point he tried to talk to me about why I hate Mr. Bean and tell me, like, I like Ernest, so how can I not like Mr. Bean? Ernest?
I was about to say that. I was going to be like,
Ernest
how do you not?
Is a totally different entity than Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is not funny. Ernest, hilarious, okay? One of the all-time greats in this business. And actually, they just started a...
But is that your own opinion?
I think that's an opinion of a lot of people, okay? They're actually...
Why are you getting defensive? People can have their own opinions,
They're
man.
crowdfunding an Ernest graphic novel. And guess what? I'm going to invest in it. Yes, I've never invested in a crowdfunding situation before. But I want to invest in this, not just for the legacy of Ernest, but for the man that was Jim Varney. Is he getting any of this money? I hope so. But... I think it's going to be a beautiful project when it comes to life.
What if one point Ben Boone hit you up, he was hurting for cash, needed you to fund him some money, and then he used it, didn't tell you what it was for, but it was to fund a Mr. Bean book.
Okay. Well, then I would ask him, like, listen, man, you're going to have to pay this back at some point.
Damn, that's
right.
wild.
Nick Jorkland says Stephen Amell. Heels tie-in with being resurrected on Netflix. That's true. I thought the first season of Heels was good. Did you ever watch this?
No.
Second season I did not watch. I couldn't get through the first episode. I think my problem is I'm trying to watch it with like a wrestling set of eyes, and there are so many things that I'm just like, who... Do they have an on-site wrestler that is looking at these scripts and being like...
I believe it's Chavo.
Is it Chavo?
Because I think what was that woman wrestling show that they had
Glow.
on? I think they just did it vice versa. He
Well,
just was the wrestling coach for both.
Right. So maybe Chavo's just taking a paycheck at this point and like not saying anything because like there's so many things on that first season of Heels where I'm just like, this would not happen. This doesn't happen in wrestling locker rooms. Like what this is very unrealistic. But I do hear that WWE does have interest in Heels, and if it gets enough views on Netflix, there could be some interest where they might try to do like a heels WWE crossover type thing, and that might revive the show. So who knows? Maybe it could be a thing. But I mean, maybe I should give that second season an opportunity. If you watch the second season of Heels and think it's worth the time, let me know, because maybe I'll check it out. But I just couldn't get behind it. Gmo left a comment, and apparently he can't read the room because his guest host idea, Gmo, by the way, one of the founding members of the Theater of Pain and one of the geniuses behind local federation Cleveland Wrestling Alliance that brought you such acts like Animal Steel. He says Vince McMahon could be a good guest host. He said it would be epic. Stone Cold run-in, Shane save, then lights out Undertaker, chokeslam, then time to play the game. Triple H could be epic if you smell LOL. None of what you wrote is funny and very nonsensical. And also, none of this would ever happen. So, yeah.
Just living in a dream, I guess.
Sounds like WWE's nightmare to have Vince McMahon walk out
that too,
on a broadcast of Raw at this point. Like, Jesus Christ. Brian Long says Beavis and Butthead. I don't know how you make that happen, but I don't think you can. Steve Harvey actually is a good suggestion over here on the social media, because I could see them doing with Steve Harvey like they did with Bob Barker, which I would say the Bob Barker guest host Raw was probably one of the better segments in that run. So I think them doing like a live action Family Feud on the stage, that could be pretty good.
Adam Sandler. How do we not think of that?
Especially with Happy Gilmore 2 coming. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I just saw I saw the thumbnail for it, but I got to watch it. I didn't realize that he appeared on an episode of SmackDown back in 2000, like a backstage segment with like Billy Gunn or something to promote Little Nicky, of all things.
Out of all movies he's made, that's the movie he wanted to promote?
Well, I don't think he had. I think he was sent to promote it.
Oh.
And the only reason why I know this is because Stevie Richards was talking about on his podcast that he had to do a backstage segment with Sandler, The Good Father, and himself. And I guess because he didn't want to smack The Good Father and Godfather essentially threatened him, like when he was told to smack him, he was like, if you smack me in the face, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you for real. So they put him in an awkward situation.
Right.
So it came off really bad, and I guess it never aired. So I'm going to have to watch it. He said it just didn't seem like Adam Sandler wanted to be there, which I find weird because he's definitely a wrestling fan. I mean, he's been at WrestleMania before. He casted Austin in a couple of his movies. Like, The Longest Yard has so many wrestlers in it: Nash, Goldberg, Austin, Khali.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that he wouldn't want to be on an episode of WWE.
True.
But trying to see if any other suggestions here. David Harbour, that would be Hopper from Stranger Things. I think Brian Long is just trolling me at this point. I've said his name too many times. He said Hulk Hogan. Come on, get out of here, dude. Ian Bailey said Alf. I don't know how you would tie in Alf today. Alf is not a current series that is running. Not sure why they would do that. I don't even know if like Alf is like in the pop culture eye at all at this point. I mean, I like Alf. But like they made it work for the Muppets because the Muppets are like still pretty culturally relevant. But you don't see too many people walk around going like, "Boy, man, I just love watching Alf." Like it's not a thing that's happening. But any other people that you would like to see potentially guest host Monday Night Raw? Anything off the top of your head?
Michael Keaton. There you go.
Michael Keaton.
There you go. That'd be a nice one, right? Random.
I think that could be good. Again, he would have to be promoting something at the time. Again, so
that's why I said random.
My whole mindset is, if Beetlejuice is going to Netflix, that's how you would do it, right? Like, we have it streaming on Netflix now, so which it's an easy way to get these guys like, we're buying the rights for your movie on Netflix, so come promote the show on Monday Night Raw.
Right.
Who knows? I don't know. Who would you guys like to see guest host Monday Night Raw? Let me know in the comments below. Did we hit the nail on the head with some of the guest hosts that you think would exist? Did we forget a lot? Do you even want to see the guest host come back? If so, why not? And why not, book it better, because it could be booked well. It's possible. Raw was such a shit show for a long time, and Triple H has really turned things around. So, yeah, I think I'm. I don't know. Unless you want to stick around to answer some questions, I'm going to answer some questions, Zachary, and then I'm going to call it an episode.
John Stamos.
You want John Stamos?
Well, I was just more so saying the Step Brothers line, but also, why not John Stamos?
I have no problem with John Stamos.
You gotta bring like Uncle Joey in. That'd be random, but where's he at? What's he doing?
He's just doing a Full House podcast now.
Oh, really?
And he's been doing a lot of interviews because for some reason the fact that he used to date Alanis Morissette is getting a lot of traction because she wrote a lot of her songs about Uncle Joey when they were dating in real life.
Damn.
Yeah, like her whole album from the 90s is about Joey Gladstone.
Well, that's weird.
All right. Anything you want to plug or anything?
Social media. Zach Thomas on Facebook. Zach_Thomas21 on Instagram. And I believe X.
You got any shows coming up that you want to talk about? I know, obviously it is until November, but we're going to be teaming in a big 440 versus 440 death match at Ruthless Wrestling in Chicago. So that's just going to be a hell of a night on November 23rd.
That is true. I don't have anything coming up currently, not until like the 18th. But I'm not going to say that show because who's to say if it happens or not?
Oh, okay. That's not a good sign, but all right. Well, we'll figure things out. Hey, thanks for stopping by for a little bit. Appreciate it.
No problem.
I know you had to go out of your way to get here, but you know,
20
now
steps.
Yep. Now you can go back to your room. How many steps did you get in today?
I don't know how you actually track your daily one.
I have a
Mine
app.
is always. Well, it's a separate app to.
Yeah. So I have this.
Fine.
So we have this app through our job that I just lie about my steps every day, so I can get points that I can trade in for gift cards. Like, it's somehow crazy that no one like from their corporate office on the app is like, "Yo, how do you get 30,000 steps exactly every day?"
Well, apparently it says I did 11,000 steps.
Are you actually tracking them though?
Well, when I usually go like this, connect to my device,
you've
and
connected device.
I didn't actually connect it, but since it has the Apple Health, I think and then it does connection details, right? And then you sync it.
Yeah, it's easier if you just don't connect it and lie.
Yeah, I could do that, but that also seems like a lot more work to actually put into details because I can never figure it out.
Easier to lie. But hey, thanks for stopping by. And just definitely follow Zach on social media. And if you want to book us as a tag team, which we've been doing more of, we would love to come to your show and give you some Brothers of Reconstruction action. So you get it? Because it's different than destruction. Reconstruction.
Yeah, I get you.
Deconstruction. Like Austin's when he had that big crane gimmick on that episode of SmackDown where he blew up the DX Express. It was Austin Deconstruction. So we're the Brothers of Deconstruction.
I think you're reaching, but we'll go with it.
All right. Hey, thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
Make sure you follow Zach Thomas on social media. He's actually way more athletic than me, but I'm also biased in saying that because he's my brother and I love him. So check him out. He's a good kid. Now I'm going to answer some questions. Take a little bit of time for that. I'm going to do Patreon member questions first, and then we'll hit some of you guys on social media with your questions. And, well, I guess I'm hitting you with answers. And then we'll wrap things up. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon if you haven't already so you can get the bonus episode about the Vince McMahon docuseries when Aaron and I review that this week. Check it out. It's going to be good stuff. First question comes from Josh Excellence on Patreon. Do you think that Dolph Ziggler was misused or should have been a bigger star? I only ask because I used to think so, but I'm not so sure anymore. I just don't know that he had the charisma. I think the kids call it Riz nowadays and mic presence as much as he was talented in the ring. Your thoughts? I really think that they had a lot of great opportunities with Dolph Ziggler. Anytime they let him step up to plate, I think he always hit it out of the park. One of the best to ever do it, if I'm being honest. He is in many ways, I think, over the past 2 decades, the modern day embodiment of someone like a Mr. Perfect. In some ways, a Shawn Michaels. And those are the 2 best to have ever done it. As far as promos go, the only promos that really stand out to me from Dolph was, I think he was doing some retirement angle or leave the WWE angle with The Miz at one point during one of their last big pay-per-view runs. And I remember those promos being really solid. But, I really think that Dolph always thrived a little bit more when he had a second. Not that he couldn't talk for himself, but someone to add a little garnish to his promos to help him get him a little bit more heat when he was with Vicky Guerrero or when he was with AJ Lee and Big E. And obviously when he was with them, that's when he had his big Money in the Bank opportunity. And I think that there was a misstep where, the crowd loved him and they turned him babyface, but also not his fault. He ended up getting hurt around that time. He got that concussion while he was in his feud with Alberto Del Rio. And just a lot of momentum was lost there. And I feel like, sadly, he never really recovered from that. Also, too, when he was with Drew McIntyre, that might have been his last big hurrah with a second. He did great stuff with Bobby Roode, but they just weren't giving those guys the opportunity as a tag team that they should. Anytime they were on TV, which was rare towards the end, you just knew that they were fodder, jobber material, basically, for whoever they're up against. And that's a disservice to both Dolph and Bobby Roode. Again, another guy who was one of the best to ever do it. And, I'm glad he's doing the things that he's doing in TNA, but I really think that he had his most momentum in those early 2010s time period when he got that opportunity at the World Heavyweight title. But, sometimes the WWE at that time, when you get injured, I think they might get the mindset that you're injury prone. And, they never really got behind him as solidly as they could have after that. And that's unfortunate. But I've always enjoyed his work, and he's one of the nicest guys that I've had the pleasure to interact with. And I love his brother, too. Ryan is a good kid. Not sure why I'm calling him a kid, because we're the same age. But, okay, let's see some other questions here. Juan Ortiz, why is he called Surfer Sting? Did he ever surf in that gimmick? Well, I think the only surfer reference around that time that he... it might stem from the fact that he was from Venice Beach, but also... And this might be a stretch, but he was in a Ruse shoe commercial where he did a little bit of surfing in it. So perhaps maybe that's where it stems from. Outside of that, it probably would have just been easier to call him California Sting, right? I mean, technically, would he still hail from California when he was Crow Sting? No, but the California Sting makes more sense. And we have 2 C's there, California, Crow. So, I mean, I think let's go with Cali Sting, all right? I like that much better. Who else do we got from Patreon? Podcast Superstar Jerry says, do I need to start getting in shape for our tag match run for the Murray Ridge Show? The Murray Ridge Show is, of course, the show for adults with developmental disabilities that is done every May-ish. And I used to work at Murray Ridge, and it's near and dear to my heart. And Jerry, I would love for you to come out of retirement team with me at the Murray Ridge Show. You have always been one of the more underrated guys, and when you were given the ball at AIW, you ran and scored a touchdown again and again and again. So I would love to team up with you for one last run, brother. What would our team name be, though? Are we just the Iron Curtain again, or we got to come up with something more legit than that? Dean Chard, the birthday boy. Favorite PWO moment? That's hard to say. I guess favorite moment that I was a part of, probably wrestling Johnny Gargano at that first Wrestlelution in a last man standing match. Not only because he was one of my best friends, but basically wrestling him in that building 1 year after I almost died from a concussion. It was very emotional. I legitimately cried afterwards, and again, when you go through trauma, such as near death, not everybody gets to experience that, and even fewer get to experience it where it's on camera and they get to relive it. And, I didn't feel that until I was back in that building for that match 1 year later. And it was definitely a favorite moment for many, many, many reasons. As far as a moment that I wasn't a part of, if we're not counting myself here, if we're not going match, I'll go Josh Prohibition and Johnny Gargano. Just like the moment in the match where Johnny goes to hit Josh with a chair. Josh, who was his mentor, and he can't bring himself to do it. Josh is the heel. Josh is begging off, and he goes to swing the chair a couple times, and there's just a big gasp, an audible gasp that comes from the 1,000 people in attendance in that crowd at the Pavilion in Cleveland. And Johnny, drops his head in shame, turns his back to Josh, and then Josh goes to pick up the chair, and the crowd comes up. And it's just a testament to, obviously we all know what an incredible worker Johnny is, but Josh Prohibition always been incredibly underrated, and it's just a testament to both guys and the story that they were able to tell, the way they were able to emotionally invest those people in that building on that afternoon in 2009. So if you could ever find a copy of Resolution 2, I suggest you go out of your way to watch it. That dumb truck ass says, what's been the worst conditions you've wrestled in so far in your career? This past Saturday, I had my first main event match in Norwood, where Duder and I wrestled for 15 in what felt like 110 degrees in their rec center, and 5 minutes in, I was drenched, feeling extra heavy in my breathing. Boy, oh boy, have I been in some bad wrestling conditions. I guess if we're, wrestling in the heat is probably the worst case scenario, especially when you're in an outdoor show and that canvas, which is usually black, gets burning hot. I remember the first Warped Tour I ever wrestled at in 2011. On the day that I actually buried my mother, instead of hanging out with my family and, reminiscing about the good times or what could have been, my way of coping was to go wrestle that afternoon. And I ended up wrestling now canceled Dave Christ. And, it was super hot outside. And the way the ring was set up in proximity to the stage, which it was very much far away from the stage. This was down at the amphitheater in Cleveland, which I don't even think is a thing anymore. But, there wasn't like an area where you could sit and watch the wrestling. It was just kind of like you could pass by and watch the wrestling if you chose. And so I felt like we needed to do something to get the people that were walking by emotionally invested to stop and watch. But Dave thought it would be better to just chain wrestle, which, as a wrestler with one arm, that's not the most ideal scenario for me. And the fact that we had a chain wrestle, it sounded to me like we would have to kind of get on the ground. The sweltering, burning, scorching canvas in the ring. And it sucked to bump on. It sucked to touch with your skin. And no one cared as we wrestled for like 10 to 12 minutes. And Dave defeated me. And when it was over, maybe it was a combination of like what I just experienced with my mom and the fact that the match was just blah, no one gave a shit. I just felt really down, and this was AIW was putting on this portion of the wrestling show, by the way, and they wanted me to hang around and do more matches, and I was like, yeah, sure, and then I just grabbed my belongings and quietly left, and yeah, but also too, like, it's always the worst when you're in like a super tiny locker room. I mean, there are times when I've been in locker rooms that are like the size of a fucking closet. It's so terrible. And even worse, when you work for a promotion that can't even buy a couple cases of water, which cost like $10, it's just kind of pathetic. There are some shitbag promoters out there, but not everybody's a shitbag. There are some good promoters out there too, but I guess you got to find that happy medium in professional wrestling, indie professional wrestling especially. Tim Fairbanks, Patreon, says, would Rey Mysterio ever have been world champion if Eddie Guerrero didn't pass away? Yeah, I do feel like Rey would have eventually became world champion. I don't think it would have been as soon as we got it, obviously. And also, too, clearly, Rey getting the WWE Championship in, what year was that? 2006? It was half-hearted. That title run sucked balls. And, you know, he got the WWE Championship for a cup of coffee during that CM Punk, John Cena Money in the Bank angle. He won it for like an hour-ish on Raw. Yeah, I don't know. Rey was never going to be the guy, right? But I think you could have given him a more believable underdog run. I mean, he's the reason why smaller guys like myself have gotten opportunities, and obviously he's already a Hall of Famer and he's still an active competitor, and he hasn't slowed down a bit, okay? So the fact that they haven't given him the torch to kind of carry a little bit longer has been kind of unfortunate. But no, I don't think we would have got it in 2006, but we probably would have still got that 2011 moment. Yeah. Let's see who we got from just on Facebook here. Reba says your favorite non-WWE wrestling game. I'm going to guess you also mean like favorite like non-big brand wrestling game. So like if it was just non-WWE, I would say WCW, NWO Revenge. But let's go a little deeper than that. I'm going to go with Capcom's Saturday Night Slam Masters for the Super Nintendo. I think that was a great game, and also I'm a big fan of those side-scrolling Final Fight games from that era, so I think that would be my pick for the favorite non-WWE, non-WCW type game. Jenny Blanchett said, from current Major League rosters, who do you think you could put on the best program with? What's the angle? I mean, Johnny Gargano clearly is a great answer. We have chemistry. We work together a million times. If I never went to WWE, my only wish as a performer before I hang it up is to just wrestle Johnny one more time, some form or fashion. I don't even know how that would be possible if I didn't go to WWE, but he's my best friend. He's my brother, and sometimes when you wrestle someone you're so close with like that, I don't know. It's hard to put into words the experience. You know, you hit each other a little harder because you're friendlier with each other. That doesn't make sense if you're not a wrestler, but you don't hold anything back, and we're on the same wavelength, so we could tell better stories. I think realistically, let's say I got signed, I'd probably go to NXT. I'd love to work with Ethan Page. I've had many bangers with Ethan Page. He's one of the best minds in the business. Shawn Michaels is the man when it comes to booking NXT, and I like to think that Ethan Page, when it came to booking Alpha One Wrestling, had a Shawn Michaels-like mindset. Very rarely do you have independent shows that do month-to-month storytelling, and Ethan Page has always been ahead of the curve with that, and obviously he's in the position he's in now because HBK saw something special in him. He has worked hard to be the total package as a performer. He just did an interview with Chris Van Vliet that I suggest you check out where, he was talking about having no excuses and how he ended up, getting in better shape because basically that was one of the only things that he was lacking. And he has every excuse in the world not to do that, what with a family and kids and the traveling that he's doing. But he made sure to change his life for the better, and obviously it's all paid off. And there are a few more questions, but I'm going to wrap it up for this week. Maybe we'll get to them next week. But hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for dealing with this re-recording based on audio issues. And you know what? I'm just now thinking about it. As this is airing, if you're listening on September 25th, this is the 5-year show. It's been 5 years of Iron on Wrestling. We started on September 25th, 2019. First episode with Johnny Gargano helped launch the show. And there's been some ups and some downs throughout the last 5 years. Perhaps maybe we'll do a late anniversary show next week with Aaron. But this was originally created as just a way for me to put out content every week, but also to tell other stories that I didn't necessarily get to tell when I do other interviews, because people just kind of want to talk about the necessities with the Gregory Iron character, the disability, overcoming the odds, all that stuff. But this has given me the opportunity to show another side of myself. Not only like the comedic side of myself, whether you find me funny or not, I think I'm hilarious, but also to connect with my biggest supporters in a more intimate way, not like in an arousal type way, but delving into mental health situations, being so vulnerable, and you guys being vulnerable back and sharing your stories, it means a lot. And it's also been nice that in some ways, this has been sort of a profitable endeavor along the way, which I never expected. And that's a cool little perk that comes with it. But at the end of the day, I appreciate your guys' support. And for anybody that listens to the show that maybe is thinking about starting a podcast, or if you're ever thinking about becoming a professional wrestler, whatever your dream is, don't go into it with the mindset like, well, my goal is to be extremely successful and make a bunch of money. Do it because it's something you like and you want to do, and the good things will follow. If you do it with that mindset, good things will follow. I promise you that. And I don't know. Gregory Iron lives by this motto of endure, inspire, and fight. And I'm so glad that this podcast has endured 5 whole years. So thank you guys once again. Thanks for tuning in every week. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you download podcasts. Share it with a friend. Leave a comment in the YouTube section below. Make sure you leave a 5-star review if you're listening to any of those podcasting platforms. It helps create visibility for the podcast. Follow us on social media at Iron and Wrestling. Make sure you follow Aaron on social media at Fair to Air. Go follow Zach Thomas on social media as well. And make sure you follow me. I'm at Gregory Iron on Twitter, but I'm not very active there because I kind of hate Twitter now. Gregory_Iron on Instagram is a better way to get a hold of me. Facebook.com/TheHandicappedHero. You can contact me there for pro wrestling motivational speaking and pro wrestling seminars. And you know what? Do it while you can, because my October is pretty decent, but by November, I'm booked every single weekend except for Saturday, November 30th. I'm going to be in Buffalo at some point, Indiana at some point, Ontario at some point. I'm going to be in Seattle for a few days. I may be in Pittsburgh. We're trying to nail that stuff down right now. Chicago. It's going to be an action-packed November. We're going to end this year with a bang, and I'm looking forward to it very much. So make sure you buy my shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/Gregory Iron. You can buy my shirts, Aaron shirts, Iron on Wrestling shirts. Many shirts that are out of print and I'll never print again are exclusively at Pro Wrestling Tees. And, of course, Cameo if you'd like a shout-out of some sort. It is worth your time and money. Just search Gregory Iron. And that's it. Until next week, thanks for stopping by for 5 straight years, assuming you've been here since the beginning. And if you haven't, go back to the beginning. Go back in the archives. Listen to some of our old interviews. Listen to how the show has evolved. It's been a wild ride. Thank you guys again. And until next week, here is a intimate one-on-one kiss, unless you're listening to this with multiple people. It's just a kiss goodbye.